introduction to research. And after introduction to research, what we add next is plagiarism and referencing. And after that, we add we add literature review, where we have the systematic and narrative review and study design. And then the last one we add, which was yesterday, is data analytics in general. So all these topics are topics that are focused on research, especially for newbies. So I'll be starting from the recap on the introduction to research. But before I read what I'm having here, or before I read anything I'm having out here, I said from the beginning that this would be an interactive session. I have questions on ground already for all of us here to attempt. But I want to hear somebody just in your own word, let me say, thinking on your feet, in your own word, what will you say research is? Somebody? I'll prefer I hear the person speak instead of probably typing. Let me hear you speak. You can do that with a show of hand and you'll be allowed to speak. Moderator, have you sensed anybody that is trying to talk?
No, sir.
Okay, Akure, I've allowed you to speak. Akure Martins.
Hello. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Research, in my own understanding, is the drive, like your drive to mean an in-depth. Hello.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes. I can hear you. Martins. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Speak.
I said research is more like explanation and inquiry.
Okay.
It's an inquiry on a particular field.
Okay. Thank you. Is there somebody else? There's somebody else who wants to say something in your own words. What is research? In a very simple term. Okay, in the absence of anybody trying to say something, basically, research is a systematic way of asking and answering questions. That's what it is. It's a systematic way or a systematic process of asking and answering questions. And the aim of this is to create new knowledge, to get new findings. That's basically what research is. Asking and getting answers to questions for the purpose of creating knowledge. Now, we also have something that he said that the basic thing about research is asking of questions. When you're trying to make research, everything surrounding it is asking of questions. But there's something that precedes asking of that question, which is a very important aspect of being a researcher, and that is curiosity. There's a word used that curiosity is the root of research, while the central of research itself is asking of questions. So that's basically what research is. And now we should also know there are different reasons, there are different ways, and there are different reasons why you should care about research. Because currently the discovery of innovative interventions in healthcare is not possible without researchers, without people getting findings, creating new knowledge because of their curious. How does lung cancer originate in people that are smoking? How does how is being a multiple sexual person or having multiple sexual partners a risk factor to having a cervical cancer? All these things are out of being curious. Just like some of the speakers have said, that how does stress increase blood pressure? How does this affect so during exams and all? All these are curiosity, and when we are curious, we tend to start asking questions. And this act of asking questions in a systematic way is what research is. So why should we not care about research? The first thing we have here is it enhances evidence-based care. So it's not just a care that just comes out of your head that this person is having headache. I think what I have to do is to just place a warm towel on the person's head. It will reduce the headache or something. That's not ideal. Let me say something like that. So, but there are evidence due to research that so medication helps in relieving pain. And before, or the first time this particular thing was being used is as a result of somebody has done a research on it and has found out that this particular medication works for this. So it is evidence-based. There is evidence. So research provides evidence to enable persons to care for patients, as we in the medical line. And another thing is that it fills knowledge gaps. So if you are curious, if you ask questions and you get answers, you've known something new. You've increased in knowledge. So it fills knowledge gaps. Because there are a lot of things that are unknown. A whole lot of things are unknown. And things will continue to be unknown till we find them out by making research. Another thing is that it drives innovation. New things are being brought up due to questions that are being asked, research that are being made, and so on. And the last one I'll be having here is that it develops our career development. In career development, it improves critical thinking, it improves writing and communication skills. It opens doors to scholarship, because I could remember that the speaker that spoke on the second day of this research module explained certain things about getting scholarships and how it has something to do with writing. In fact, improving your writing and communication skills will help in bagging scholarships. And I think that session was wonderful and we all listened. So this is one of the reasons why you should care about research, because there are a lot of things that are packed in knowing what research is. And that's not about that. So I'll be going into the types of medical research. We have basically about 4 types, between 4 to 5 types of medical research. So I want somebody to just outline these types of medical research. Somebody should just give me just outline the 5 types of medical research, or if it's 4, just let me know. Just somebody should speak up and outline the types of medical research we have. I said it from the beginning that this is an interactive session. We are having a recap of everything that has been taught. Nothing new is being taught here. Someone can have there could be a show of hand. And if you want to type in the chat box is you feel that's better too, then no problem. If you want to type, you can type. If you want to speak, you can do a show of hand. You'll be allowed to speak. Okay, I think some persons are typing. Okay, Brian said basic science research, clinical research, public health research, qualitative research, translational research. Okay, very good, Brian. You are definitely correct. These are the 5 types of medical research we have, basically. And that brings us to another question. What is the difference between our basic science research and, let me say, the clinical research? There's a similarity and there's clearly a difference too. So what's the difference between basic science research and clinical research? What is that distinction between the basic science research and the clinical research? Okay, people are typing. Okay, Daniel said basic science research is done in the lab, while clinical research is conducted on humans. That is the difference. Okay. Somebody else is still typing. Let me see what other persons have to offer us. I'm waiting for the other people that are typing. Now, as there's a difference between the basic science research and the clinical research, I also want to state that in terms of this basic science research, we also have some that we term basic science research with lab work and basic science research without lab work. So it's the same thing as the definition of basic science research. Like research we generalize it as a research conducted in the lab. But there are some certain basic science research that are not basically conducted in the lab. Is basically a form of asking questions, surveys, getting data from asking persons questions, and not doing laboratory work per se. why the clinical research always remains conducting this research in humans. So can somebody now tell me the similarity between the basic science research and the clinical research? If the difference is one is conducted in the lab, another is conducted on humans, there should be a similarity. Martins, you've been allowed to speak. Martins, I can't hear you.
The person left the call.
Oh, okay, no problem then. Then I think I'll just continue. So, from what I have, okay, they are both conducted to improve the quality of human life and for advancement of knowledge. Thank you very much. Basically, that's the similarity, or that's one of the similarities. It's just something that we can just figure out on our own thinking. So, since somebody has outlined these 5 types of medical research, the basic science research in itself is also known as a bench-based research, which is conducted in the lab, as it has been said earlier. While the clinical research involves studying interventions or outcomes in human patients. Another word that we can use for intervention here is treatment, that is intervening in any element this particular person has. So it's also termed treatment. So one of the purposes of clinical research is you study this person, you study modes of treating this particular person. You also study the outcomes after this particular mode of treatment has been applied to this person. That's clinical research. Another type is public health research. This one is focused on a population, not just a population, a wider population, because clinical research can also be population. Population is 2 or more persons. But when we say public health, we're talking about a wider population, community, village, any geographical location that is termed something that is, something that is of wider range, big. That's public health research. While qualitative research, some persons might want to use the term of quality to remember this particular research, but it is also in line, which is just basically the exploration of human behavior, a research carried out to study human and how they behave. That's qualitative research. A good example is why some persons might be specific, maybe why mothers or why fathers or why certain age group avoids getting vaccinated. So a study can be carried out as to why has that happened. Is a behavioral it's something that has to do with the behavior. Why do these persons avoid vaccination? It's something that is even common. Persons will say if you should vaccinate them, the side effects might finally even kill them before the disease does. So that's one thing. And why do some persons avoid family planning? That's one thing too. Persons do not believe in doing that. There's another behavioral thing which is common in the religious aspect of our lives. Some persons don't allow blood transfusion. So why do so religious body do not allow blood transfusion? All these things are what we can conduct research on. And this type of research is qualitative research. Now we have the other one that is called translational. From the word translational is relational, moving so thing to another thing. So this one translates findings from the lab to the clinical practice. We said the basic science research is termed bench research. bench-based research. Why that of the clinical research can be termed bedside? Because it has to do with the humans in the clinic or something like that. So translating findings from the lab to clinical practice is also known as from bench to bedside. That is the translational research. And these are the types of medical research that we have. The next thing I'll be going into is study designs. Study designs. Please, I want everybody to believe that this class we are having now is something that, as you are hearing me speak, whatever you've heard before will now sink in better, because I'm not saying something new. So if I'm saying something and it is sounding new to you, it means you've missed a whole lot of classes. So anything I'm saying here is something that has been taught before. So I'm repeating it so that as you are hearing it for the second time or the third time, depending on how long or how many times you yourself have gone over it, it will sink in. So that's the purpose of this recap that we're having, to revise everything that we've been taught for the past 3 weeks now. So what is a study design? Now, study design is that systematic way of conducting research. We say research is a systematic process of asking questions and finding answers. Now, the study design is now the method that is used in conducting that research, and basically also finding answers to your questions. There are different types of study designs, and they have their strengths, they have their limitation. Now, the first type of study design that I have here is cross-sectional study design. Now, what does cross-sectional study design do? It provides data or information of the population at a given point in time. So at a particular point in time, a study that is carried out at a particular point in time is a cross-sectional study design. A good example of a cross-sectional study design is, let's say, prevalence of burnout among medical students. Now, that burnout is not something that is continuous. It's something that is happening at a particular point in time. So that's a cross-sectional study design. Another one we have here is the cohort study design. Now, cohort follows a group that shares a similar characteristics over a period of time, as opposed to the cross-sectional, which is at a point in time. Cohort study is over a period of time, and it is a group of persons that have similarities. That's the cohort study design. We also have what we call the case control study design. In public health, we said cases are those with a particular disease or a particular feature. Those are cases. Cases are actually persons in public health. So those with a particular disease are cases, while controls are those without that particular disease or feature. So that is where the case control study design comes in. You carry out research on persons that have this social disease. Let's say persons that have malaria, or this is people that have tuberculosis, or people that have HIV. There will be question designed for them, research questions. Then whatever findings you've gotten, pen it down. Then you ask persons that you are sure that do not have it. Ask them questions too. These are the control. So what the people which are the cases have and the control do not have will be compared. And we allow persons now know risk factors. How does the control tilt towards the cases itself? What will this person that is in the control be lacking, or we affect this person that will make this control person become a case? So that is the case control study design. We also have the experimental study design. Another name for this experimental study design is randomized control trials. And as the word comes, randomized control trials, this one is something that is done on a random basis. On a random basis. Now, this particular study design is used to test cause and effect relationship. So at some point in time, what is the relationship between a cause of a particular disease and the impact on that particular person's health? So this is one of the common study designs we have. So like I said before, I started with cross-sectional study design, cohort study design, case control study design, and experimental study design, also known as the randomized control trials. At the end of this introduction to research, I'll be giving a set of questions, I think about 5 questions for us to answer, objective questions. So now the next thing I'll be taking here is the research process. There's an acronym for the research process. So for anybody that attended this particular class, I want somebody to type that acronym and the full meaning of the acronym for research process. Anybody, please? And if you want to speak, you can raise up your hand and speak. If you want to type, you can type it. So that some people are taking time to type, it seems they've gone to check it. You're supposed to type very fast, so I will know that you're not going to check it. Because if you've gone through this, you should still remember the research process, the acronym given for the research process. And this is gotten from Oluwatimilehin's class, the first class we had. So I believe that this is the 3rd week. You should have it at the back of your mind. Bryant, sharp. Pick home. Yes. The P stands for problem. The I stands for idea. The C context. The O objective. The R the research design. And M is the methodology. Very good, Bryant. Okay, now when we say when we say problem in this case, what are we trying to what does it mean in the research process? When you say problem, what does it imply? What are you trying to figure out in this particular part called problem? Very, very simple. Problem, a research question. What are you trying to feel? What is that particular thing that you are trying to get? That is the problem. A simple example for this problem is you've noticed, or let me use the example given by Dr. Roots, the one that spoke for the week 2, day 2, about noticing that there is high blood pressure in amongst medical students during their MD exams. That is a problem. That is what you've noticed. That is what you've noticed. Another example might be still is also almost the same thing with the blood pressure, high stress level, maybe during exam or generally in medical students. There is always stress, going to classes early, coming back from classes late, the workload to study and everything. We are always under stress. That's a problem. Now the idea, what is the idea? In this case, what does it mean by idea? What do we mean by idea in the research process? what is your central research all about? Now, if you remember, I said something earlier before now about something being the root of the research. Why something now being the central? Now, the root of the research now is curiosity. Now, idea is the central research question. That's the idea. So the example I gave about student having IBP during exams, the idea here is that what are the main cause or the causes of this IBP in 300 level students or MB class students, like second MB class student, or what are the main causes of IBP in 500 level MB students. So that's the idea. The problem is these people are having IBP. The idea is, which is the main question that you're asking, the idea that the problem has brought into you is that what are the causes? What are the main thing, or what is the main thing that causes this in this set of medical students? So that is the idea. Thank you very much, Bryant. Context. Context also have context have another word, which is also a particular topic that has been taught during this research module. So what is context? When we say context, what do we mean here? Remember, you should try to speak or to type or to do something now, because whatever questions that we'll be asking during the exam will still be will be surrounding all these things that we are doing. So now that you are trying to answer these questions, it means you are recalling. Grocery say context or comparison. Thank you, Brian. Grocery, I won't say you are wrong, but you are answering me with, you are giving me the question back as an answer. It is written there as context. I'm trying to see, I'm looking for an explanation of what context mean here. So what context mean here is what others have already found. What studies have people done before now, according to what Brian just said? What have others found already? It is synonymous to saying literature review, because when you are doing literature review, is you going to look at other people's finding. If there are findings, you look into it. If there are none, then you'll be the one that will be finding it out for the first time. So literature review is going to see other people's work. What have they found out? That is context in this case. So I hope Godfrey has maybe gotten that part right. And thank you, Bryant. Now the next thing is objective. Objective is more or less like even very simple. Objective. The aim or goal of the research. Objective is also aim. It's also the goal. Thank you very much. That's the objective. What are you trying to achieve? That's the question it answers. What are you trying to achieve? What are you trying to achieve? In the terms of the context and the example given about BP, you just have to go on to look for people's works on if anybody has made findings on why or how students have IBP during their exam. Medical students of certain class or medical students in general have IBP during their exam. That's the context there. Some persons might have actually be curious enough to ask that questions too, and they've done a write-up on it. That's the context. And the objective here is your aim is to now identify the main things, the key causes of this IBP. That's the objective there. That's the objective. Thank you very much, Ribo. Yeah. The next thing now is research design. Research design here is also something that we've also discussed during this class. So what is research design? What does it mean? What are you trying to say here? How you intend to answer the question. That is the method you use. Or if I use the word method, it might confuse the method. It might confuse us with methodology. So when I say method, I'm basically talking about the study design. That's what the research design is also talking about, study design. How will you answer the question? How do you intend to answer the question? Just like Vitri has said. So that's basically what research design is aiming to answer the question. How will you answer this set of questions that you've asked yourself? And the last one is methodology. Methodology is simply the what you use in answering these questions. We have data collection, we have data analysis, we have sampling, and the process of data collection. We have different types of data. We have different ways of collecting data. Now, in the case of this IBP in medical students during their exam, the best way of doing it is via survey. It's via survey, so a self-reported survey. So that is the methodology around this part. So thank you for everyone that have answered some of these questions. And I believe everybody is flowing because, like I said from the beginning, we are conversing. This is more or less like an interactive session. That is what it is. So I'll be giving us some set of questions surrounding research. I'll be giving out the question, giving out the options, and I want persons to answer. I will only drop the question. I will only paste the question on the group chat after I've gotten answers, not before I got answer. So I want to see people that are listening, and not those people that are maybe basically just reading. I want people to listen. I want people to listen. So I'm coming. Let me get my questions. Okay, the first question here says, which of the following best defines research in the academic context? Which of the following best defines research in the academic context? Please, I want you to give me an answer with the option and the write-up, not just A, B, C, or D. You put, if the answer is B, you put B, you put the write-up. If the answer is D, you put D, you put the write-up. So I want to know those that are actually listening. So please be attentive. Which of the following best defines research in the academic context? A process of collecting random data for documentation. B, a structured investigation aimed at discovering new facts or interpreting existing knowledge. C, a summary of previous scholars' opinions. While D, a presentation of personal views using complex language. Again, which of the following best defines research in the academic context? A process of collecting random data for documentation. B, a structured investigation aimed at discovering new facts or interpreting existing knowledge. C, a summary of previous scholars' opinions. And D, a presentation of personal views using complex language. Answers, please. Okay. Are they doing still used ordinary lettering? Azan Ismail, a structured investigation aimed at discovering new facts or interpreting existing knowledge. Belolis, the same thing. Okay. God's will. Thank you. I don't know, Abdullah, you are giving me only option. I said not just option. Listen, please. Some persons are still typing. Hope is not that some persons are putting answers based on what other persons have given. So this is the question I just asked. And correctly, the answer is a structured investigation aimed at discovering new facts or interpreting existing knowledge. That is the best definition of research in the academic context. A process of collecting random data for documentation is not entirely true, because you're not just collecting random data for documentation only. You are trying to figure out a way for treating Chidera. Okay, thank you. So thank you. The answer is B. The answer is B. The answer is B. We are getting there. The next question I'm having here is, now pay close attention again. Which element is essential for formulating a good research question? Which element is essential for formulating a good research question? A, it must be broad and open-ended. B, it should be based solely on assumptions. C, it must be specific, researchable, and significant. And D, it should already have a known answer. Again, which element is essential for formulating a good research question? A, it must be broad and open-ended. B, it should be based solely on assumptions. C, it must be specific, researchable, and significant. And D, it should already have a known answer. Somebody say broad and open-ended. Somebody say it must be specific, researchable, and significant. Stick to your answer. Majority might be wrong. Sometimes, not all the time that majority are right. Sometimes minority will be right and majority will be wrong. So stick to your answer. Listen to the questions very well and stick to your answer. Ismail has followed suit. Broad and open-ended. Okay. Okay. The fact that it is stated that it must be specific, it's not even about being researchable. I don't think there's anything that is not researchable. I think there's nothing you can carry out research on. There's nothing, because you will definitely get something to say about it. So everything is questionable. Every single thing in this world is questionable. So for a fact that it's questionable, it means it is researchable. So, but the key word here that has made it the best answer is it must be specific. Carrying out research has to be specific. Even the significance is not as paramount like the specific. It has to be specific. You can't just carry out research just like that. You are carrying out research on a particular topic, and that topic, that is the specificity there. So the broad and open-ended, no, that cannot be the answer, because broad and open-ended is not giving the vibe of specificity. So the best answer is it must be specific, researchable, and significant. Thank you for all your responses so far. Okay, we'll be going through to the next question. The next one here I'm having is, in research methodology, what does the term hypothesis refer to? I want somebody to answer this without the option. In research methodology, what does the term hypothesis refer to? Let me see who will be giving an answer that will be similar to options I have here. So in research methodology, what does the term hypothesis refer to? a problem or research question. Is that an hypothesis? Your rough explanation of the research question. Proposition. Okay. Hypothesis is an idea you formulate of a question that will be researched. Okay. Thank you, Belolis. Ismail, thank you. Dr. S.A., thank you. Victoria, a proposition. Okay. Victory. Hypothesis refers to the collection and testing of the data gotten from the research question. Testing. Yeah, you use the keyword there, which is beautiful. Testing. Beluli said is an idea you formulate of a question that will be researched. Yes, hypothesis is formulated based on the question you've asked. Okay. You guys are doing wonders. No harm. According to research methodology, hypothesis is the prediction gotten from the research question. Sharp. Okay, that's a good one. Uribo. If I'm not pronouncing your name very well, I'm sorry about that though. But I'm having Omoayena Uribo here. Thank you. Mantra, a suggestion of an answer to your research question that will be researched. Every single person are giving me a knowledge field answer, which is very good. I'll drop the question now and the option. An idea that which is formulated on a question that will be researched upon. And whether this is an idea put into question that requires answers. The truth is, every single person here, nobody from the beginning of this third question, nobody is wrong. These are just different perspectives, and that's what I want to get. That's the beauty of understanding something. Although the question said in research methodology, what does the term hypothesis refer to? So, according to this question I drop now, just give me the option. What's the best answer? You should know already. Exactly. P said X. Where do you see X? You added new option for me. Okay. That's the best answer. A testable statement predicting the relationship between variables. That's why I was happy when somebody used the word test, and another person used the word. I think there was a place they used prediction at the same time here too, which is a very good one. Okay, so that's that. I'll ask another question before I go into the next thing I want to revise with every single person here. Why is ethical consideration important in conducting research? I want you to give me answers to that before I drop the options too, using your own intuition. Why is ethical consideration important in conducting research? Because in conducting research, you're asking people self-related survey. You need to be careful when making survey, asking questions. There are ethical considerations that needs to be put in place, that you need to put in place while asking questions, so that you will not end up being faulted for you just carrying out a research. So why do you think ethical consideration is very important in conducting research? Why do we think so? Because you can infringe on people's privacy. Okay. It helps in conserving the data privacy of people involved. Okay. Good one, Mantra. A sharp one, Ismail. Okay. Keep it coming, people. It ensures the integrity of the data collected and in turn the research. Okay. To protect the rights and well-being of the participants. That's also valid. None of you here is wrong. We are all saying, in fact, we are almost saying the same thing in using different perspective, which is the beauty of this, asking these questions without the options first. So people are still typing. I want to see what other people are typing before I drop it. To know if the data to be collected are ethically acceptable. Okay. For peace. Okay. to know if the data to be collected are ethically acceptable. Okay. To ensure the result is for the good of humanity. Okay. This is because when researching cohortly, you need to show integrity in your research design. It is needed to protect the privacy of the individual and ensure that the data is credible. Every single one of you has said something meaningful. So what's the answer according to this, the option? To protect participants' rights and ensure integrity in the research process. So you can see that most of you that answered have this keyword: protection, rights, integrity, and participants. So this will be the last question in this unit that I'll be asking. Which of the following best describes the difference between quantitative and qualitative research? So, as usual, somebody should tell me what is the difference, before I will drop this question, what is the difference between quantitative, and it's the same thing. What is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research? What is the difference? Somebody? What is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research? What is the difference between quantitative and qualitative research? Qualitative uses non-numerical data, while quantitative uses numerical data. Okay. Okay. A quantitative research focuses on quantifiable data like census, while qualitative uses surveys, questionnaires to summarize data that are not quantifiable. Okay. I can remember this evening I've mentioned qualitative type of medical research. Yes, I mentioned it. Quantitative research deals with measurable data, while qualitative research deals with non-measurable data. Okay. Qualitative analysis deals with human behavior, while quantitative deals with numbers. That's okay too. Qualitative research uses numbers to collect data, while qualitative uses words to collect data. Are you sure? Okay. Qualitative research focuses on specific research context, while quantitative focuses on general research context. Okay, Dr. SA, is that the best angle? Focus on specific research context. Quantitative, general research context. Quantitative research focuses on numbers and measurable data, while qualitative research explores ideas, experiences, and meanings using non-numerical data. Thank you, Aruna. You all are doing wonderfully well. Mantra said quantitative deals with measurable volumes, like a census on the prevalence of something, while qualitative deals non-numerical data, like the possible cause of something. Okay. I love the fact that you are adding explanation to your answers. So from this, what's now the answer? Which of these best describe the difference between quantitative and qualitative? Yes, the best answer is the second option. That's clearly the best answer we have here. The second option, where we say quantitative research focuses on numbers, while qualitative explores meanings and experiences. We are doing well so far. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in this first part. There are more questions, and I'll be taking them. I'll be asking the questions as we go. So I'll quickly breeze in plagiarism, and then referencing. Now, for plagiarism, someone should type it. What do you think plagiarism is? In a very simple term, simple definition, what is plagiarism? Very, very simple. Very, very simple. Copying someone's work without acknowledging them. Yes. You can copy. Yes, plagiarism does not say you should not copy. The problem is acknowledging. So plagiarism simply means using someone else's work without giving proper credit and pretend it's your own. That is a thief. Thank you, Aruna. That is idea thief. So it can be intentional, it can be unintentional. Nobody cares if it's unintentional. That's why it is said that ignorance is not an excuse. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. Even if you're ignorant, that's why you need to seek knowledge. That's the purpose of research. So even if you're ignorant and you unintentionally copy somebody else's work, you still be penalized for it. So presenting another person's intellectual property as your own, intentionally or unintentionally, is plagiarism. Thank you very much. Now we have forms of plagiarism. We have about what I'm having here is I'm having about 6 forms here. So who can list out the 6 forms of plagiarism as given by Oluwatimileyin Dapo? Just list. The speed in which you are using to type will make me know that yes, you have this at the back of your mind and you're not quickly looking for the PDF. Direct copying, paraphrasing, self-plagiarism, patchwork, idea, and global. That's 6. Self-plagiarism, mosaic, global, paraphrasing, verbatim. Okay, direct, indirect, self, mosaic, idea, global. Indirect. Well, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Using the word indirect, I think that should be similar to paraphrasing. Okay. So for the direct plagiarism, that is direct copying, it's also known as verbatim. Verbatim is more or less like repetition, directly repeating somebody else. This thing. Copying is the same thing as verbatim. So it is the use of a text without quoting that person that you've used his or her text, or without citing the person or the source of getting that text. That is what direct plagiarism is. The second one I'm having here is the paraphrasing. Now you've paraphrased. Somebody said, let me use a very simple sentence here. I saw a dog. That's the sentence you have. You want to paraphrase. I visualized a particular animal that barks. Yes, we are saying the same thing. I just paraphrased. I did not use exactly the words that were being used. So after paraphrasing,
I need to cite that so person in so year was one that made this statement that I got this idea from. So paraphrasing is like you've gotten the idea, but you're putting it in a different wording. That's paraphrasing. So paraphrasing plagiarism is rewriting someone else's ideas without acknowledging them, which is the most common type, as it has been explained. This is the most common type. People will think that yes, I did not use this person's word, but when they check for plagiarism, there are tools to use to find out that this person has committed plagiarism. So that's paraphrasing plagiarism. We have self-plagiarism. You're using your own previously published work without without disclosure, without citing it. You believe you are the owner before, you can self-plagiarize. It's also an offense. As long as this is a different work from that other one, cite that work. It is from you, but cite that work that was from you at the same time. The other one we have is mosaic or patchwork. Pick from here, pick from there, pick from that other one, patch. That is another form of plagiarism. You mindlessly lift this one, you go to another article, you lifted this one, another article, you lifted this one. You now piece it together thinking that they will not find out because everything is now mixed. So they will not find out it is plagiarism at the same time. That's mosaic. Another one I have here is idea plagiarism. Using somebody else's concepts without attributing. And the global one is the worst. Somebody should be jailed for this even. You copied everything and you pasted it. As a whole, you did not change even A, you did not change it. You copied everything as a whole. That's a complete thief. So these are the types of plagiarism. Thank you for everybody that have answered. It seems, not that it seems, it shows that we are actually following. So somebody should just list in your own words what you think are the common reasons for plagiarism. Why do you think people commit plagiarism? What are your reasons? I like the fact that people are just quickly typing sharp. What are the common reasons for plagiarism? Ignorance. Exactly. It's not an excuse, but ignorance is one of the reasons. Procrastination. Okay. Laziness. Yes. Inappropriate planning. Lack of original ideas. These are common reasons for plagiarism. Lack of understanding. There's another one I'm having here, lack of understanding of citation rules. That is also ignorance. You don't know when to properly cite. You don't know when you're not supposed to cite and every other thing that way. Poor time management is there too. Poor time management is also there. Inefficient research ideas, yes. Lack of ideas, yes. And there's something here. There is a flow chart from Mr. Dakbo's slide, and this flowchart is having saying something like, should I, like, when do you know when to cite? If it is a quote, you don't cite. Oh, sorry. If it is a quote, you cite rather. If it's a quote, you cite, but you will place a double quotation mark around the text. That will show that yes, this is a quote, and you don't need to you don't paraphrase a quote. You lift a quote the way it is, but you put that quotation mark to show that it is a quote. You don't paraphrase quotes. A quote is a quote, but you cite it adding that quotation mark. Now, did you paraphrase it? If you paraphrase it, do you need to cite it? Yes, you need to cite it. Is it somebody else's idea or theory? If it is a yes, you need to cite it. But if it is not a quote, if you do not paraphrase it, if it's not somebody else's idea, if the answer to these three questions is a no, is it a quote? Is it a paraphrase? Is it somebody else's idea or theory? If the answers to these three questions is a no, then you don't need to cite it. And there are two things that we mean if these three questions are not answered. It means it is a common knowledge. So you don't need to cite. You're not citing a common knowledge. It's known by everybody. You are not the one that find it, and nobody found it. It's a natural thing that everybody knows. Or it is your own thought. For the first time, you are putting it down, so you don't need to cite it. So the only thing we need to cite is somebody else's word a quote, and other things. Those are the things that you need to cite. Now, why do we need to avoid plagiarism? Why do we need to avoid it? Or what are the consequences of not avoiding it? Now, there are implications in person's academic and professional life. There will be lack of trust in person's work, and might even cost those of us that are medical, that are students right now, can cost us certain scholarship when they find out that this person has plagiarized. And it's something that should go into record. It might even cost us prospective opportunities too. Now, another form is academic consequence. It's academic consequence now. It might affect those of us that want to japa. One of the ways of doing this japa is through having research work, or research can serve as an avenue to japa. So when they find out that you have plagiarized, it might cost people the opportunity. They might decline you from visiting that particular place or something. So these are the reasons, and these are why we need to avoid plagiarism. This is an offense punishable by law, so we need to avoid it. Now we have different types of we have styles of citation. And beautifully, the second day of the program, the day 2 of the week 1, the speaker that spoke that day gave clear examples on how to cite, the in-text citation and the referencing at the end. Now, who can give me the types of the referencing styles that we have, as it has been taught? Somebody should tell me the referencing types that we have. APA, MLA, Vancouver. Yes. We have the APA style, we have the MLA style, we have the Vancouver style. APA, Vancouver, MLA. When do we use APA? When do we use MLA? When do we use Vancouver? So those of us, for us here now, as medical students, when we are doing any research work, the best references that we use is Vancouver. I've actually experienced it several times. Whenever I'm actually trying to reference some works, actually this one is coming from my lecturers that I've worked with or something. It is always stated that we use Vancouver style. Before I finally found out, or when I went to make research on my own and read about it, to know that yes, when it comes to biomedical and health science courses, medical courses, you use the Vancouver style. Okay, sorry for that break in transmission. So I'll be dropping as a form of reminder on how to do the referencing style for APA and MLA and Vancouver. But before I go there, there's an acronym under this plagiarism that will help in avoiding plagiarism. The acronym is called PCR. Somebody should give me the full name of PCR. Paraphrase, cite effectively, reference. Very good. Every single person here is following. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we need to go over this once more. We have the APA style. This is how we reference the APA style. We have the MLA style. This is the format for referencing. And we have the Vancouver style. This is the format for referencing. So we need to go over them once more. And if I don't know if I have questions regarding this, I'm going to drop. So this time for questions again. Let me ask you a set of questions. And I need you people to give me beautiful answers. Very fast. This is a very simple question. We've defined it ourselves. So what do you consider plagiarism in academic work? Exactly. Using someone else's ideas without giving credit. That's basically the definition of plagiarism. In referencing, what is the purpose of in-text citation? Okay. Which of the following is an example of a proper APA style in-text citation? Look at the word in-text citation. How do you properly, which of this is correct for in-text citation? Victoria, explain. Why did you say A? Why did you say A, Victoria? Put it in typing. Why did you say A? Tell me, give me your reason. If you're asking this question now, give me your reason. State the name of the author and year of publication. State the authors and year of publication. In APA in-text citation, the format is author, year of publication. Option B, do not follow this format. Very good, Victoria. Okay, I want somebody to put this person's name is John Maxwell, and the year is 2023. Somebody should put it in MLA style, in-text citation. How will you do that? John Mark, 2023. But put it in text. What will be the answer for this same question? I know you are all listening. Okay. MLA. Somebody else? Back your answers with reason. Oh. Back your answers with reason. I'm still waiting on persons answering this question in MLA style. I've gotten that of Weibo. Okay, I did not give the page number. Thank you very much, Aruna. I hope we are getting acquainted with what we've been taught before at the same time. I hope you are just listening. I hope you are listening. I hope you are listening. I hope you are listening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We don't have much time on our sides again. I think I've successfully gone through plagiarism and introduction to research. What we have next, which I'll just breeze in very fast, is literature review and data analysis in general. So somebody should type, what do you think is literature review when it comes to researching? What do you think is literature review when it comes to research? I have questions on ground for you already. And I think I would like to close this session before 7 or on or before 7 or by 7. So what do you think? What is literature review? Literature review is a summary of available research, knowledge, or data on a particular topic. Can I have more answers, please? In research is a comprehensive summary and evaluation of existing research theories and findings on a specific topic or research question. What are the types of literature review that we are taught or that we know of currently? Narrative literature review, systematic literature review. Thank you. Literature review is sourcing out for existing research made on your specific research question. Somebody, you answer this question with reason. What is the main purpose of literature review in research? To list as many books as possible, to compare your ideas with friends' opinions, to summarize and analyze existing research on a specific topic, to avoid writing a full research paper. With your reason. Okay, it gives background context to back your research. It helps introduction of the research area. It gives a base for comparison of knowledge. Yes. Okay, the main purpose is to provide context for the current study, identify gaps in the existing knowledge, and establish the foundation for the research. Thank you very much, Aruna. You guys have done wonderfully well. Okay. Okay, now another question. There are options, but I want to get answers before putting it in the options. How does a systematic review differ from a narrative review? I could remember the second speaker for the last week dwelled on this very well. We also have the recording. So how does a systematic review differ from a narrative review? Let me hear from you. How does a systematic review differ from a narrative review? Okay, Azan Ismail, are you saying, okay, you're telling me that these ones now are the characteristics of systematic review? Because I'm expecting you to put it in. I like the way you said, but put systematic, put narrative. I know it's for systematic review. It is structured, it is not opinionated, it follows universal guidelines.
this is how it is different from narrative. Does that mean narrative is not structured, narrative is opinionated, and narrative does not follow universal guidelines? Is that what you are implying? Systematic review is more specific and follow a predefined protocol, while the narrative review has a broad coverage of topics. Okay. I love the fact that we are being interactive. Systematic reviews are more rigorous, reproducible, and focus on answering specific questions with clear criteria, while narrative reviews are more flexible, interpretive, and focused on offering an overview of a topic without strict methodologies. Very good, I don't know. Narrative reviews are opinionated, and systematic reviews deal with fact and an order. Thank you, Chiagoze. Yes. Dr. S.A. said narrative literature review has to do with the opinion of the research writer, hence may have limited credibility, while systematic entails well-structured and universally accepted methodology. Thank you very much. You don't even need these options anymore. You guys have wonderfully answered it. So what's the best option here? Okay. We're in line. Very good. Now, according to the answers we've given now, which of the following here, which of the following here is not a feature of systematic review? Exactly. Okay, in your own words, I want you to tell me, why are narrative reviews useful in early stages of research? Why are narrative reviews useful in early stages of research? Why are narrative reviews, in your own words, why are narrative reviews useful in early stages of research? The keyword there is early stages of research. Why do we think so? Okay. Narrative reviews are useful for identifying knowledge gaps in early research stages. It doesn't need a rigorous process like the Prisma. Okay. Narrative reviews offer an accessible way to gain an overview of a research topic, identify gaps, and lay the groundwork for more detailed or systematic research, making them invaluable at the beginning of a research project. Okay. That's very good. So what's the best option here? They provide a broad overview and help understand general trends in the field. Yes, there is no restriction. There is no restriction. That's very good. Now there is an acronym mentioned during literature review. There's an acronym. Who can tell me the full name of the acronym? PICO. PICO. The full meaning of the acronym PICO. Population, intervention, community, Yes. Aruna Abdullah, you can. The compassion is comparison instead, not compassion. Thank you, regardless. Okay. Very good, very good, very good. It shows that we were attentive and are still attentive in these classes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, I also explained what study design is. So I'll be entering certain questions concerning study design. And I want to get our answers. We'll be rounding up very soon. With reason, don't just give me option. Which of the following is the characteristics of an experimental study design? I'm waiting. Which of the following is a characteristic of an experimental study design? Why? Azan, why do you say C? Okay, you've given me a very good answer. Experimental study design is also known as a randomized, random assignment of participants. Very good, very good, very good, Azan. Thank you. A good one, Azan. Thank you. Somebody should give me an answer to this before I drop the options. In which study design are participants followed over time to observe outcomes? I think I gave about 4 type of study designs. So in which type of these study designs are the participants followed over time to observe their outcomes? You guys are odd though. It's cohorts, yes. It's cohort study design. Because cohort is over a period of time, a group of people over a period of time. While we have our cross-sectional is at a point in time. We have the case control and we all know what that is. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for following. 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 Thank you very much for foll And the last but not the least, what is data analysis? What is data analysis? I'm waiting. What do we know as data analysis in research? Cameron said data analysis is the study of data to identify patterns and predict outcome. Okay. More answers, please. What do you think is data analysis? Is the interpretation of data to draw meaningful information, conclusion, and support decisions. Okay. These simple definitions are things that we need to actually know, are the basic things that we need to know. So if some persons are feeling maybe we don't need to just know these simple definitions, please, you are very, very wrong, because you need to know them before you can practice them. So this is more or less like we going over it together again, portion up our memories and making it stick. Data analysis is the process of reviewing data for patterns and trends and identifying relationship between different pieces of data. Okay, thank you, Dr. S.A. Data analysis is the process of, okay, Cameron wants to expatiate. Process of examining, organizing, and interpreting data to identify patterns, trends, and relationship, and to make information or put it outcomes. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are following, which is nice. Emanuela said is the process of collection, cleaning, and use of data to give insight on the subject of review as regards research. You are all correct. So what is the primary goal of data analysis in research? Is it to confuse the reader with numbers? Is it to reduce the length of the research? Is it to identify patterns, relationships, and draw conclusions from data? Is it to replace the need for a literature review? The answer is there. I believe thank you everybody, when Mr. Charis was teaching yesterday, he mentioned two things, and they have certain differences, which is we have the descriptive and inferential statistics. So I want us to give me the differences between descriptive and inferential statistics. If you were following in Mr. Charis' class yesterday, I have options here. I will drop them and you can answer with reason. Why do you think that is? What is the difference between descriptive and inferential statistics? What does it mean by a statistic that is descriptive and one that is inferential. It's also under the learning of data analysis in research. Emanuela, why do we have D as our answer? Okay, thank you very much for the answer so far. It shows we were also listening yesterday. Thank you very much. The descriptive statistics summarizes data while inferential. When you said inferential, now I'm making inference now. You are drawing conclusions from a particular set of data. Basically, in this case, probably a population. So thank you very much. This is 701, and I promise to stop on or before 701. Thank you very much. And if you have a question to ask, I won't be taking much questions. We need to be fast with it because this is 7 o'clock. I have to go for prayer and everything. So if you have a question to ask, you can ask the question. You are welcome, Favour. Before going further, I would like to thank every single person that, especially those that have joined this module from the day 1 up to the 6th day. I know that some persons say that I've not missed a single day, and those persons that have not missed a single day, I believe that by now you should have been experiencing a significant change in how you perceive research. If you are the type that if you are a newbie before, by this time now you should have developed that interest. If you are not a newbie, if you are an amateur or to some extent an expert, I believe that no single knowledge has been a waste. Every single thing that has been taught from day 1 till now, you've learned at least one new thing, which is very, very essential. That one new thing might be the breakthrough in any particular research work you want to do or you are carrying out. So that is one of the beautiful things. Yes, camera, it is possible to reach me and other speakers for that guidance. It is possible to reach me. And by the virtue of the fact that for this research module, I'm the National Director for the Standing Committee on Research Exchange. And that's why I probably had to do this recap of everything that have been done and to also familiarize. So you can reach out. We'll get the contact of every other speakers that will be willing for you to reach out and ask questions. Yes, we'll create that avenue for guidance and every other thing. So what you just basically need to do now, this is my number that I just put in the chat box. That's my WhatsApp number. So what you just basically need to do now is go over, or even today's discussion we've had is being recorded. I will send the recording. There are records from the day 1 up till this moment. So you go through all the recordings, you go through the PDFs that have been sent, and what Mr. Charis taught yesterday, we also get the material and we'll send it again. You go over all this. There will be an exam, and that exam you need to meet at least I think 70%, I think, or 75% of your attendance. You need to meet up to that number of attendance, and you need to get a 70% pass mark in your exam. So the next information you'll be getting now is information regarding exam. So thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for participating. And I believe that this as this impact, the impact that we are trying to push here, won't go unnoticed. So thank you for participating. If you have any more questions to ask,
Thank you,
you
sir.
can ask.
We are
Yes.
grateful. Thank you so much. Please and please, if you learned something big from this session, can you just drop something good for our moderator today? Can you just, sorry, for our speaker today, I'm so sorry. Tell him something sweet on the group chat. Tell him thank you, we love you, thank you so much. I'm sure he poured as himself on us today. He told us so many different things, and he was very, very patient as well with all of his teachings and knowledge. Please tell him thank you. Tell him thank you. Anything that you feel that is good for someone that has taught you to hear today, can you just encourage him? Tell him thank you. Thumbs up also on the group. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Abiodun. We really appreciate. I don't know if you still want to take maybe 1 or 2 questions, or do we end the session, please?
If there's anybody that still have a question, like 1 or 2, they can ask, so we can end the session. If there's anybody that has any question to ask, feel free to ask.
Okay, if you have a question, just 2 people, please. Write it down in the comment section or on the group chat, please. Just 2 people, please. Just 2 people. The first 2 people will actually have their answers answered. Sorry, their questions answered. Please, if you have questions, just 2 people, please. Write on the group so that he can answer them, please. Just so we don't have time, please. If you have questions, just help us, please. No questions? No questions? Okay, in 5 seconds. Everything with questions. In 5, 2, 1. All right, thank you very much. Okay, sorry. Okay, 1 question dropped in for Mr. Abiodun. How will you navigate giving a reference if... Please, can you finish your questions, please? Please. Okay. The question says, how will you navigate giving a reference if you formulated an idea and you don't know if it has already been thought about? Please, Mr. Abiodun, can you please address this question, please?
Okay. You said if you formulated an idea and you don't know if it has already been thought about. Now, if there is an idea that was taught by one of the teachers there that thought that if you are not sure if somebody has said something before, you are not sure if it has been said before, and it's not a general knowledge, still cite it. And the way you can cite it is something you thought. There is no way you would have maybe thought of something to some extent. Though there's a source for that thought. There's somewhere you've seen something like that has brought that idea into you, so you can cite that source to be on the safer side. Only if you are sure that this idea has not been thought of before, like there is no evidence that somebody else has put it out there. If and only if you are sure, that's when you can put it out that it is your own thought. But if you are not sure, you cite it. If you don't find anybody, if there's nobody that you believe you can cite, then you cite the source in which that idea came from, the idea of the thought you had came from. I don't know if that to some extent answers your question, or at least give some form of clarity. Chiagozie, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you all for joining this session today. I'm sure we had a good time with all the knowledge that was being passed on to us. Thank you so much, guys.